All right, it looks like it is 1 o'clock on the nose. So I am so excited to teach this class today of CubiCasa. This is one of my favorite products. CubiCasa, I know you're probably thinking, Cuba, what? It's got such a funny name. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, even though the name sounds a little funny. It is a great room measuring floor plan app. I like it because it's very simple to use. I'm going to show you some basic tips and tricks today. And it's exciting to finally get to teach another class for the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors. To tell you, one of my favorite places on the planet. Spent a lot of time growing up in the Keweenaw Peninsula, and a lot of time in Copper Harbor and Eagle River. And geez, can't remember happier times in my life than that. So I hope you're getting out there and enjoying those beautiful snowy views. And hopefully we'll get up to see you guys before long. Maybe get to meet a few of you in person. So with that, I am excited to announce that we're going to be covering CubiCasa. I'm going to kind of go through everything you need to know first. And then I'm going to actually it's just going to be a real quick scan of my office so you can actually see it live. So if I haven't got to meet you before, my name is Colleen DeLang. I am the Director of Education here at my Role Source. I train for many of the associations. A little bit about my background is I have also been a realtor. So I use this in real life. I have now used this on 13 listings in total. I use this in real life as being a realtor myself for 24 years. So I'm going to show you what I think works best and some practical applications. I'm also going to show you some cool stuff that we just built in Paragon to help add your listings in and to show that your measurements came from CubiCasa. So couple housekeeping reminders is I wish I was standing in front of you doing live training. However, we want to keep it as interactive as possible. So in your GoToWebinar panel, which by the way, if you step away for a call or you minimize your screen, sometimes it minimizes in your computer tray and it looks like a little blue flower. So don't panic. I always get a lot of calls during the webinar. Oh my gosh, I can't find you. Where did you go? Just remember that blue flower sometimes will be minimized. If you click on it at the bottom of your tray, it will open up your GoToWebinar panel again, so you'll have no problem. Also, within that GoToWebinar panel, there's a couple things you should be aware of. One, my very good friend and colleague, our Director of Communications and Photography here, Taylor Fidois, is actually helping me man questions behind the scenes. So when I'm speaking, she's going to be answering your questions. So feel free to utilize that questions box that probably by now is kind of minimized at the bottom of your GoToWebinar panel. If you need to open that up so you can ask your question, simply click that orange red arrow. It'll open up that panel. You'll find questions where you can type your question in. And as I mentioned, Taylor will be kind enough to either ask your question. If it's a really great question and she thinks other people are going to ask it too, she'll ask your question out loud, or she might just answer it via chat if it's something easy. So be aware of that. And then lastly, I put a handout, what you need to know about CubiCasa in the handout section. So there's also a little section where you can save it to your computer. You could use it as a future cheat sheet, if you will. But with that, let's go ahead and get started.
Colleen, sorry.
Yes. How are you?
I'm going to re-log back in. I cannot click on anything about the chat or the questions. It's the places are frozen for me for some reason. So I don't want to miss anybody's questions before you start. So should I log in and log back off?
You know what? Let me try to do this. Let me make you a presenter and then you kick it back to me. Once you're in that presenter role, I wonder if it will unfreeze that. Let's try that. Let's give it a go. I'm going to make you the presenter for just a second. And so does it when you select Jess, does it give you answer to the questions now and the handouts and stuff?
Nope, it's not.
It is frozen for you. Okay, well, yes.
Let me just log back in and then just look for my name to maybe bump me back up if it gives me any issues.
All right,
sorry about that.
That's okay. Let me make myself the presenter again before you do that, though.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Because it'd be bad if you're the presenter and you log out. It's not good.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. We should be back on track. And I'll watch for your name and I'll bump you back over and hopefully that will help.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Taylor. All right. So with that, let's talk about CubiCasa. What CubiCasa is, I know it's kind of got a funny name, but it kind of makes sense if you think about the name. Cubic, measurement, right? Casa, house. And so obviously it means house measurement, and that's really how it got its start. And actually, it's been around for over 20 years. But let me tell you a little bit about why we chose CubiCasa, and we didn't settle with some of the others. Let me blow this up. Hopefully you're able to see that to kind of get an idea of what is going to happen when you use CubiCasa. This kind of gives you a floor plan, kind of shows you what that overall floor plan will end up being. But let me tell you there's many companies out there that do floor plans. They don't do them as well, and there's a couple different reasons. We looked at, I think, six when we were making a decision. And we ended up choosing this one, because it's been around for over 20 years. Two, they're actually a company based out of Norway. I happen to love Norway, spent a lot of time being Swedish, spent a lot of time there, got family from there. And when they were coming up with this concept, they knew it had to be simple, and the other thing we really liked about them was what they do with who owns the floor plans. A lot going on in the way of copyright infringement and people stealing floor plans and photos. There was also a really big company that we looked at. And basically, what it said was, you do the work and we'll keep your floor plans and we're going to resell it to other people and other companies. And didn't really specify which companies they were going to resell those to. So a lot of times it's knowing where your rights are going as well. And so this one allows you to keep 100% of your floor plan rights, do what you want with it. So that was something we looked into. All the fine print had our attorneys review that. We were very happy with that. But I think the reason we liked this is it did things that none of the others did. And what I mean is there were some true benefits that when we looked at all the other floor planning apps, they did not do outside structures. They did not do shaping of the pool, meaning you can actually walk around the pool and it will actually trace that perimeter for you. It didn't do a lot of those things. And that was something when we actually saw the finished result, we were really, really pleased with the finished product, how reliable it was, how quick it was, and that they keep, just since we've launched CubiCasa, they've added so much in the way of now you can do 3D plans, you can actually utilize AI in them. And the good news, the best news about it is it's actually free. And it comes from the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors. They provide it as a member benefit. Now, when I say it's free, I want to be very clear because I hate when people say it's free and it's not really free. Your scans are free and you can do as many as you want. But keep in mind, when I'm saying free, it's up to 5,000 square feet for your scan. So if you are doing a scan of a luxury home, it's going to cost you an additional $11.25. You got to be honest, you can't even scan most places. The initial scan package starts at $28. So that's only if you go over the 5,000. I'm going to cover all of that and what you need to know and a lot about this company. Let me see if Taylor's back here. Yep, she is. I'm going to move her over real quick. But what I found the most efficient is how quick these turnarounds were. And what I mean by that is, let's say you go on a listing appointment, 6 o'clock tonight, you're filling out your listing paperwork. The average scan takes about 5 minutes to do. I would say between 5 and 8. I've done 13 of them now on listings, and between 5 and 8 minutes is my average time. What I like so much about this is that on average, they say they have up to 24 hours to get that back to you. On average, I'm getting them in less than 12. So that means if you're on a listing appointment at 6:30 at night, by the time you go to put your listing in the morning, you've got your room measurements already done for you. You've got your floor plan that you can add to documents, as well as you can add it to the photos, and you can start marketing it. So I loved it. I thought the fact that it's so efficient and so quick, I have not had one come back late. I have not had one not show up. Just the efficiency of the overall process and the product I'm extremely happy with. So I'm going to turn my fuzzy hair off today, and I'm going to get into more about the product. And like I said, at the end, we're actually going to do a live scan together. 'Cause let's face it, as an agent, I get told stuff all the time. You see all the, and then you go to use it and you're like, what the heck? So it's really nice when you actually get to see it work live, because then you can kind of have this assurance before you go to a consumer's, before you go to a client's house and you're walking through, you know exactly what to expect. All right. So I'm going to get right to it here. Taylor, can you see everything now?
Yes, I can, and I can open up the chats and the questions panel. So
Awesome.
all is good.
All right. Thanks so much. Maybe it's
Mhm.
because we've done so many of these today, we've confused it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on, but yeah, that could be it. It's
All right.
GoToWebinar
Taylor and I just finished a class right before this one. So we do a lot of classes together. They're always my favorite. We're a good team. We work well together. All right. So how did CubiCasa actually get started? Well, they saw a big gap especially in the US market. So over in Europe, it was amazing because 90% of the floor plans, or 90% of the properties in Europe that are on the market have floor plans. But here in the US, less than 10% actually have floor plans. And most of those are comprised of either new construction or their rentals or leases. And so the idea was, by making this product a free product, and again, free up to 5,000 square feet, let me put the caveat on there, that more people would utilize it, they would be able to better promote their listings. And let's face it, this market has changed. We used to, 24 years ago, when I got into the business, we didn't have photos flying out to 400 IDX and syndicated sites immediately. Now we do. The buyer who's looking in Texas to buy a Michigan home, they really not only, I mean, photos are great and it's wonderful. Taylor, who's manning the questions, she teaches a great photography class on how to add better captions and better descriptions so you can describe the layout of the home. But a lot of times, if you have, especially if you have a luxury home, there may be a kitchen in the basement, there may be a kitchen on the main level, and there may be let's say a butler's pantry, or a mother-in-law quarters that have a kitchen. So it's really hard to determine what are you looking at. And it becomes kind of like, what is the layout of the home? And that's where having a floor plan going out to these IDX and syndication sites really does help. The buyer has a better idea of, is that layout going to work for them? Not only can they see the room sizes, which is helpful when they're planning furniture and figuring out where the kids are going to be, but it's a great way to see, is that layout going to be conducive for their lifestyle? So NAR research is showing now more than ever that photos, obviously being the most important, detailed property information and detailed property descriptions are obviously important. But right under that, they really want to know, what is the layout of the home? And a lot of times, like I said, from the photos, it can be very confusing. Am I looking at, a basement kitchen, or am I looking at a first floor kitchen? Am I looking at which kitchen is this? And especially if now you have 99 photos in the MLS. So we're actually putting more photos in. And not every agent, unfortunately, is great about adding detailed captions and descriptions. So this is that extra level of protection, that extra level of letting the buyer know exactly what that floor plan is before, coming into town and looking at a bunch of listings that really weren't going to work for their lifestyle. So I guess one of the biggest things that you get, and I just closed a first-time home buyers, that it's their first house they ever purchased, and the biggest thing to them, which kind of cracked me up, was they had this massive bed set that their mother had given them, and they loved it. And we were literally finding a house for the bedroom set. I kid you not. I mean, it was like we were looking at all these little tiny chopped up rooms, and it's like, nope, bedroom won't fit. So seeing the layout, seeing the immediate room sizes and how it's going to work, is the bedroom going to be pressed up against the door? Seeing a floor plan like this is going to give them a lot more detail than they're going to be able to see in a photo or just room measurements. As you can see, it kind of even shows which way the door swings in or out. It's going to show things like where the cupboards hang on the walls. It's also going to show things like where the bathtub is, where the windows are. These are all important elements. As I mentioned, one of the things that we liked about CubiCasa over all the others was that you could do those outside areas. Many of the others that we looked at never offered that capability. It was only inside the walls that they could do the measurements. This is different. I'm going to show you why in just a couple of moments, why this technology is actually set apart. But when you're looking at this particular floor plan right here, when this agent scanned this floor plan, they literally did a continuous scan. Now, let me also say there is no pause button. So when you're doing your scan, you want to make sure you have about 5 minutes. You want to make sure that all the lights are on. You want to make sure that the doors are all open, because what you're about to do is literally just walk through the perimeter of the entire house. Now, on this particular scan, you can see it also includes a porch and a deck. So in this scan, this agent literally walked the perimeter of each room, then stepped out of the sliding glass door, and you can actually see it's a sliding glass door right here. They stepped out onto the deck, traced the edge of the deck by simply walking around it, went back into the home, and then continued their scan. Same thing for the front porch. So they went out onto the front porch through the door, which you can see right here, even shows which way the door swings. They walk out onto the porch, they walk the perimeter of the porch, and it's mapping that directly into their floor plan. So what is the advantage? Obviously, it's going to make your listing stand out. It's going to show that you went the extra mile. Hopefully, that's going to continue to win you more listings when they see the detail that you've added. Remember that the whole idea is to get the home sold in the quickest amount of time. And, if you don't have to have 100 people through saying, no, that wasn't the layout for me, the idea is to get the people through who are looking for that particular layout. And it also is a great way to not have to do that old-fashioned measuring. You probably, if you're newer in real estate, you don't remember the painful days of actually having to get the long tape measure, the 25-foot tape measure out. You had to have your seller hold one end. I remember this, I kid you not. Your seller was holding one end, you were holding the other. You're, trying to make rapport while you're walking through all of these rooms and measuring. Then we got a little more Then we got a little more sophisticated. We went to the laser pointer measures that, quite honestly, were just not very accurate. If you moved or you sneezed, they were off like 7 to 9 inches. Then we got more savvy. We got to iPhones, and with the laser measuring in iPhones and the apps for measuring, and it got more advanced and more advanced. But I assure you, with the web generation that you're going to see, it is the most accurate out there. Now, I'm always skeptical because I'm an agent and they try to sell you everything, right? And so when they were saying how accurate it was, I happen to have built the home that I'm in. So I got out, I thought, I'm going to show them it's not very accurate. Got out my floor plan, right? And it was accurate. I was shocked. It was accurate down to the inch. The only place I found it was very close to an inch was the bridgeway. I have a bridgeway in my home that has light coming in from both sides. And so that was the only place that I found and it was close to an inch off at that place. Every other place was spot on. This has also got technology to do curved wall measurements. If you've ever, and I've had this, if you've ever had a luxury listing, a lot of them now have those beautiful curved walls. If you've tried to measure, it is a nightmare, right? I mean, trying to figure out where the curve is and do you measure from the middle of the curve to make the room bigger? What's the actual measurement? This actually makes that very simple as well, because it's actually going to use a design that actually goes right up the wall to capture those actual measurements. So it's kind of cool. We're going to go through it in just a moment. So on average, again, using your smartphone, it's going to take approximately 5 minutes. I've had it take up to 8, but quite honestly, most of the time, if it takes more time, it's usually because I didn't have all the doors open or all the windows open and I had to stop, or, I walked into a closet or, something and didn't have that particular light on. So really on average, you're looking at about 5 to 8 minutes. Obviously does depend on, how big the home is. But here's a really good example. And I just put this video in here because, again, I kind of wanted you to have a visual. By the way, the person who's acting as the model here is actually one of the lead engineers for this software. He's actually the one who started this, so I thought it was kind of interesting. It's kind of like seeing Alfred Hitchcock in the movie, right? So he's actually one who created the technology that you're looking at. But I have to be honest, the reason we don't do more of the live demonstration is it really is this simple. There's not enough to show. You're literally going to you're going to click into the app. Now, you do want to set up the app ahead of time. I wouldn't recommend going to a client's home and then trying to set it up, right? You want to have the app downloaded, and I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up so that you get all the bells and whistles, because remember, you're getting this through the Upper Peninsula Association of Realtors. It's a My Real Source technology that we've been looking at for quite some time, but you want to have the app downloaded and you want to be signed up for your account before going on a listing. But I kind of always like to be the guinea pig. I never want to be embarrassed in front of a seller so for me, what I did is, because remember, you get free scans, you get unlimited free scans. So you can actually scan your own home. And that's what I recommend doing before you go out to your listing appointment. Just test it on your own home. So what you're going to do is you're going to sign up in Paragon under the Resources tab. I'm going to show you step by step how to do that today. After you've signed up, it's going to send you an email to your phone. You're going to download the app. It's that simple. Once you have the app downloaded, this is exactly what you're going to do. You're seeing him click into the app, and it's just asking 4 simple questions. Do you want to scan? Do you want to see something you've previously scanned? Do you want to change your contact information, or do you want to log out? Pretty simple, right? Those 4 buttons. From there, now, one of the changes that they made, and they just made this change about a week ago. Matter of fact, when I first logged in and started using it, I'm listing a rental. I was there just a few days ago, and when I logged in, I noticed this doesn't look exactly the same. You used to have to hold your phone landscape. They've just changed that. Actually, it was before I left for vacation, so about 10 days ago. They changed it where you now can actually do it just the portrait mode of your phone. So you don't even have to turn your phone anymore. You literally just click into the app and hit the record button like you see to the right, and it's going to allow you to walk the perimeter. And again, we're going to do it so you can kind of see it in action. What I did, I'm just going to pop out of the PowerPoint for just 1 second because I got it queued up because I hate ads. We're all sitting here watching it, and then you have ads. So I'm going to actually show you a real life scan that was being done, and I'm going to kind of give you the what you're seeing here. So this is a CubiCasa scan. So the top left-hand corner is really just what they're seeing in the camera lens. Okay. The bottom, that webbing that you're seeing, and I'm going to go over more of that in just a moment, is actually what is being recorded in the scan, how it's measuring. Over here to the right, where you see the triangle, is actually the phone and just the directions. So you can see the person doing the scan is literally just walking the perimeter of the room. All right, so hopefully that gives you a really good idea. You can see that over to the right in the large panel there, that person's literally just walking into the room. And some rooms, let's face it, they're so small, it's not like you even do the box in the room. You can walk in the room and I like to tell people, kind of just aim at the baseboards. You don't want to be at the floor, but if you angle your phone to just be hitting the top of the baseboard, or where a baseboard would be if you don't have baseboards, that's going to give you a really good scan. That's all that you really need to remember, is you're just going to hit the record button, kind of aim for the baseboards, and it's really going to do the rest. If you're too close to an area, It's even going to tell you. I call them my easy instructions, if you will. I mean, it can't get easier than it says, hey, you're too close to the wall. I mean, it will literally pop up and tell you that if you're too close. The only two errors I've ever seen in doing scans are you're too close or you're moving too quickly. If you move really fast, it can't get the full. So it wants you to kind of go slow, aim at the baseboard. When I say slow, I'm not saying you have to take 3 minutes to do a baseboard. I'm saying you just want to walk in sort of a ginger man. You don't want to do, speed walking through the listing. You just want to go slow, aim at those baseboards, and then it will sort of guide you through the rest. And if you're moving too fast, I promise it will just tell you. And they're really easy. I call them too easy to make a mistake. It's like they're built for a chimp almost. You can't mess it up. So CubiCasa, when you're doing high-end or luxury properties, as you can see here, there's a curved set of windows in this example. There's also kind of a kidney-shaped pool, and there's a little gazebo out there that has a little place where you can change for the pool. All the agent did was they walked around these structures and it did the rest for them. Again, it's going to trace those doorways, which way did they go in. But I thought this was and I chose this slide in particular because it had some unique features. Look at the walls in this home. It's built in a circle. Even, I believe it was even the kitchen when I was looking at it, is on the circle. So these are all curved walls. It'd be very difficult to measure, but yet not a problem because it's using this web technology, which I'm going to show you in just a moment. When you're walking outside, again, don't be afraid to include those pools, outbuildings, porches, patios, anything like that. It's going to give you that additional feature that you don't find in a lot of these other apps. Now, I kid you not, this is a real place. I didn't really believe it. I made them prove it to me. But this actually is a real Airbnb in the shape of a shoe. I really thought they were kidding when they told me this, but it really does exist. Another really great example of some very interesting measurements of rooms, right? You have all curved walls. And if you were trying to measure this, it would truly be kind of a nightmare. Now, I don't exactly know. Maybe it's Shoe Town or something like that. I don't exactly know who would build an Airbnb in the shape of a shoe, or maybe there's some significance to the town or something. I'm sure there must be a reason, but it does exist. And I thought this was just a tremendous example of a really unique high-end property and getting in those tiny, tight spaces as well as all of the curved walls. So again, the only way to know is to really test it in your own home, right? All right, so when you are doing your scan, so the basic floor plan option is if you are doing a scan, you can do as many scans as you want. They come back with a 24-hour delivery time, meaning within 24 hours, you will have all of your room measurements, all of your scans, and they come back in a couple different file formats. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. They send you one that just gives you the layout with no room measurements. Now, the cool thing is it actually labels each room for you. But let's say that you're looking at this and you don't want this called the dining area. You want it called the butler's pantry. Or maybe you want it called a formal dining room. Let's say it had, more walls and you wanted it labeled something different. You could actually put your own room name in there. So you can change those. It does give you the option. It also gives you the option to color coordinate. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute too. Here, you'll notice that up to 5,000 square feet, again, are totally free. You can do as many as you need. Again, test it out on your own home so you can see exactly how it works. If you go over 5,000 square feet, it is traditionally $15. Because we negotiated this through my RealTors, we actually, because we have so many members and with all of our vendored MLSs, meaning UPAR and Saginaw and, many of the other ones that we vendor, we had a big enough number that they gave us 20% off of that. So basically you're looking at $11.25 when you go over 5,000 square feet. Now, I'm going to tell you, many of the other floor plan apps start at $28 for the minimum scan, at least the ones that we looked at. So I have to be honest, if I'm doing a luxury listing and it costs me $11.25 because it's 8,000 square feet, I'm pretty much okay with that. Things that you can do with this, you can edit the room names, you can add your logo. And I liked that you could change the color schemes. And I'm going to kind of show you a little bit more about that. Some people like to add all the fixed furniture, meaning you want to have, the toilets, every cupboard, everything up here in your scan. You can do that. You can also do, if you are an appraiser, you can pay, it's $11.25 again, you can pay the GLA appraisal. It will actually do the GLA with the required GLA appraisal floor plan for you. So it's basically sketched out in the little squares like you see a GLA report. If you need a faster turnaround, let's say that you're going on a morning appointment, you want to have it in the afternoon, you can pay again to have the 6-hour delivery. Or again, if it's over 5,000 square feet, that's when you would pay that additional charge. I think they're really reasonable, and they really aren't trying to upsell. Every product I seem to come in contact with these days is trying to upsell you 1,000 times. That's really not their intention. Their intention is really to have everyone utilize the free app. But if they have to do a much longer, more complicated scan, then obviously there's a cost to that, and that's why. Now, let me kind of explain why there's a cost and what makes this one different than a lot of the others that we looked at. This one uses a real life human, and they actually have individuals all around the globe. Again, this was kind of founded in Norway, so it kind of started off there, but now it's gotten to be such a big product that they have people all over the world. The reason that they have human eyes is there are times that it takes a human eye going through the scan to catch things like, it might be a pocket door. It may not be a door that opens, this way or that way. The human also, if there's any interruption in the scan, the human is the one who can then piece those elements generally together. So let's say you drop your phone and and you pick it back up. Well, a regular scan, how would they know how to read that? And that's where so it starts the process with the scan, but an actual human reviews it to make sure that it is exactly what you want before you get it back. I thought that was very cool. It was like that extra level of eye. They've added a lot of AI to this, even since we've launched it. And so they have exciting new 3D products. I'm going to be honest, I've really just done the 2D. I've added the staging. I've added, I've done the, color coordinating, things like that. I have not done a 3D personally yet. And basically what it does is it creates this kind of, actually, it's kind of like a 3D tour, but it's not exact. It's kind of using AI in some ways to element or augment it as you're walking through. So we're talking more about that too. So just keep in mind, if you want to add a GLA report, if you're an appraiser, again, $15. You need a quicker turnaround, $15. If you wanted to do that 3D video rendering, again, using some AI capability, that's going to be $99. Again, you still get that 25% off. But if you are interested in the upgrades, that's how they work. Okay, and they do have different, you can bundle some of the things together. But here's what I would say. Practice, really, the free has been more than I've needed. If you're lucky enough to be one of those high-end luxury agents, hey, that's awesome. You might be out $11.25. For most of us, the 5,000 square feet is more than enough. By the way, you want to do basements as well. This has no problem doing basements. And as a matter of fact, Taylor, if your mic is on, maybe you could talk a little bit about your basement and some of the things when you were scanning your basement, your concerns and how it worked out. Are you there in the background?
Yep, I'm here. I was kind of surprised when we first launched this, just because our back basement is kind of wall-to-wall boxes. There's ours, but there's also my mother-in-law's stuff who passed. So our back part of our basement was so cluttered. And of course, we wanted to have that in the scan. And not a lot of wall space, a lot of walls were showing up, and you want to follow the perimeter. And it picked up on it very well. I was pleasantly surprised. Plus, we have baby gates and things like that I was curious how it was going to read that as if it was a wall or what. And it did a wonderful job. No issues. It was super accurate. We also kind of have a weird fireplace that splits down the middle of our house. And I was wondering if it would recognize it as a fireplace versus a wall. And it did, because there are a huge fireplace that separates rooms. So I think that because obviously there was real humans in the back end able to see that, it detected that it was a fireplace, kind of where the wall would be with all the boxes, determined it was baby gates, not a door, those kinds of things. So very accurate, very easy. I was impressed.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that with us. I know
Yeah.
when we first started, normally my house is in pretty good order, but I remember when we first got our accounts to start beta testing it, and we were doing Jake's school. We were doing a big project, and there were boxes everywhere, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Being the OCD person I am, I'm like, how is it going to look past all these boxes? How are they going to? I was really surprised how it's so focused on the walls that it really, whether you have clutter in the way, it doesn't matter, which kind of shocked me, because I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I was kind of embarrassed, because I'm like, somebody's going to think I live like this with boxes everywhere. It's an OCD thing. I can't help it. Okay, so moving on. So if you are an appraiser, this also will align to the ANSI report that they're required to use. It will have the calculations in the format that you need. It will include interior walls, doorways, staircases, egresses and ingresses, or egress and ingress windows. And so it's going to basically be a lot. You'll see if you're an appraiser, it generally uses that squared technology. Exact same thing here. You just get it back, and I actually have one, so I can actually show it to you. You get it back in three ways. If you're an appraiser, you can get that GLA report back. If you are not an appraiser, you will get it in a PDF and a PNG. You get it in the different types of formats, because a PDF you can add to the document section, like where you put your seller's disclosures, your lead-based paint disclosures in the MLS. You can also add it there. So it makes it really easy for you to email out to people as well. It also gives you that JPEG or PNG file. I think if it's a JPEG or a PNG. I think it's a PNG. It will give you that file format, and we'll look at it in just a second so I can tell you. It'll give you that file format so that you can put it in the images. So it's really helpful.
You actually get both PNG, I think JPEG, and a PDF too, if you didn't
So you get three. Okay.
Yep.
I couldn't remember if it was a PNG and a PDF, or so I didn't realize it was three. It was just the two. And I actually grabbed my scan so we can kind of look at the final results. But thank you. That's helpful. All right. Going forward on the color coordinating. So why I liked this, and this was a really good example that this agent used, is they were trying to highlight in a glance. So when people are obviously scrolling through the photos, they're looking really quickly, right? In a glance, you want to see how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. But I liked this I did a basement that was partially finished. So more than half of the basement was finished. But there was a person, I wanted to show them that more than half was actually finished. So I actually highlighted the finished all one color, and then the unfinished another color. This agent made it really easy as you're scrolling through the photos to be able to identify quickly how many bedrooms and how many baths by color coordinating them. So again, you can edit your room names, you can color coordinate them. By the way, you can even color coordinate it to your company colors. You can actually change the colors that are there, and then you can put your own logo on it. Now, I'm happy to say that at my Real Source, we support all of our products, meaning Paragon, Cloud, pretty much any product that you have access to, we support with real life people, meaning that you're not calling into another country. They're right here in Michigan. Many of them are agents who are in our tech support department. We also have a great guy by the name of John who just is studying for his bar exam. So really good people who know the products inside and out. And why we generally like to do our own support at My Real Source is because a lot of times when you call with a question, it might be a question on getting listings in Paragon, but they got to go to Cloud CMA, right? So you really need help on more than one products. But a lot of MLSs around the country will say, okay, well, just call your MLS team, but then your MLS team doesn't really support cloud. So now you got to call cloud. Now this person says, well, it's, this person's over here you're going to need to talk to. And all of a sudden you're talking to 3 different people and you just wanted a quick question answered, right? So here at My Real Source, we've always tried to support all of our products with in-house people. The only product that is the exception is going to be CubiCasa. And the reason is we can answer general questions, but we can't see inside the app is the only thing with this one. So they do have 24/7 customer support right through the app. And the reason we would love to support it, but the only thing is we can't see the inside of your phone, and they can actually see the actual tour. They can see what was submitted. And we can't. We don't have the capability of seeing that. So this is the only product of all the products that we offer that we can't really support. But I will tell you, I've had very few questions, but I have had a question. They have immediate chat. There's a whole help tutorial. There's really easy webinars that you can get to right through the app. So really good customer support. I've been pleasantly surprised, but it's the only one that we can answer a generic question. But if you really need help on a scan that you sent, or you had a question about what's going to happen with your scan, that is one that you're going to want to go right to CubiCasa. All right, so how do you start scanning? Because you can start scanning right after we're done today. All you need to do is you need to sign up first. You're going to sign up under resources. I'm going to show you exactly where to go. Your scan, again, will take about 5 minutes. And then within 24 hours, they say 24. I've been very fortunate. I've gotten most of mine back in less than 12. Because they want you to use it. They want it to continue to grow. And so when you get those, you usually get them in about 12 hours, can be up to 24. And again, you will receive 3 formats. I thought it was only 2 without the GLA. So actually, if you do a GLA, you get 4 formats. And you can get them with the room measurements or without. So some of the builders have higher elevations, meaning there's an elevation A, there's an elevation B, and an elevation C for their models. So some of them don't actually want the room measurements on. They want to show the layout, but obviously with elevation C, you might get a larger living room or a larger kitchen. So they just want the layout. So you're given the scans back with the room measurements and without. So if you're a builder and you don't want the actual room measurements on, you want to just advertise the layout, you have that option as well. So how do you sign up? The sign up is free. There is nothing you have to pay for unless you go over that 5,000 square feet. I hope I said that enough, because I guarantee you after this webinar, someone's going to say, so what happens if I go over 5,000 square feet? So let me just reiterate, all of your scans are free. There is no sign up cost. There is no limit on scans. The only time you would be charged the $11.25 again would be if you go over that 5,000 square feet. But remember, if you scan the basement, you have to remember that basement square footage is going to be included in that. If you do an outside pool, that's going to take, if you're walking that kidney shaped pool, that's going to take square footage too. So just keep that in mind. How do you sign up? You go right into Paragon. You're going to go under CubiCasa floor plan. It's going to say sign up. It's going to ask you for your email address. You do need to use the email address that you use in Paragon. And then it's going to ask you another question. Are you an agent, appraiser, photographer? You need to select that you are an agent. Okay. That agent will give you all of the bells and whistles. So it needs to know that you are an agent, and it's going to ask you one more question. It's going to ask you your MLS. Because we got the group discount for everyone, for all of our vendor MLS partners like UPAR and the 9 other that we vendor, you do need to select the MLS as my real source. Okay. So you're going to want to remember 2 things. You're going to remember that you want to sign up under my real source because it's kind of like the statewide plan that we have. And then you want to also sign up as an agent. That means that you get all those additional benefits. You get the 25% off of anything additional that you wanted to purchase. And that's exactly what the app's going to look like when you download it. Basically sends an email right to your phone. It's going to ask you to verify your email address. It will send the email to your phone. You're going to download it onto your phone, and it is that simple. You'll be ready to scan. All right, Taylor, did I miss anything? I know you've sat in on a lot of these, and I'm actually going to switch over to my phone and try to do, takes about a minute to switch over to my phone. So if I missed anything, now's a great time to tell me.
Yeah, no, we had a good question from Jeff just asking, how do you scan multiple floors? And do you keep the scan going through the stairs? I mentioned that when you download the app, it will give you kind of those tips in, how you begin this scan, and it will be starting in the lower level, work your way up, follow through the stairs through if you want. But I think it also lets you choose, right, Colleen, if you're selecting upper level and everything too. If I
It
remember right.
actually, I have started some. I usually start at one corner of the house. I started on the 3rd floor and worked my way all the way down.
You went down.
You could
Okay.
Yep, or you could start at the bottom and work your way up. It really doesn't matter. It's going to be looking at the stairs. It's actually taking into account the way you're walking. These are all that human element that we kind of keep talking about. It's kind of amazing. And that's why it becomes so important. That human element is what's going to actually make sure that every level is located correctly. And each level will, by the way, be broken out. I'm going to show you my finished product. Each level will be broken out individually, and then it will give you a combined at the end of all the levels together, kind of in a breakdown. So we'll look at them all together.
So complete a level at a time, and then follow
Right.
through with the stairs too.
Yes. And the most important thing of what Taylor just said is it's continuous. That's the absolute most important thing to remember. So you want to really have it ready. You want to, and it'll remind you this as soon as you open the app, as Taylor said. Open up all the doors. Let as much light in. Open up the drapes ahead of time. Open up the doors ahead of time. Turn the lights on in each room. Like if you were showing the property, right? You'd want to bring in more light. Well, unless you have an undesirable neighbor maybe next door, maybe then I wouldn't open the drapes. But any other time I would open them up. You want to bring as much light into your scan as possible. You want to have all the lights on. Someone asked, what about closets? Walk-in closets, absolutely. You want to step into the closet. You don't need to go all the way around the closet, but you definitely want to step in and showcase the closet to make sure that you're showing how large a walk-in that you have a walk-in closet and how big that is, and it will do the measurements for you on those. So absolutely include those rooms. Just remember, you're doing a continuous scan. Kind of what I showed in that one sketch of having the porch off the 1st level. You don't want to do all 3 levels and then go back and do the porch. That's not the goal. You want to do every level you want to do every level completely. So if you're starting at the 3rd level, that's okay. Start in one point, walk the entire 3rd level, then go down to the 2nd level, walk the entire 2nd level. If there's a patio or porch, do that on the 2nd level. And then obviously go to your basement. It doesn't really matter if you start at the basement and work up or the top level and work down. It's just continuous. That's what you want. There is no pause button. And that's the kind of the important thing to remember. It's not like you can pause and say, oh, I'm going to come back to that. All right. So I always go out on a limb here. I think that's why they love and hate me sometimes, but I just really like to show stuff live. And I know some of the other instructors we've had before, they're like, I'm never doing that. But as an agent, I really kind of like to see how does it act? If I'm going to use this in front of someone, I kind of like to see what does it look like? How is it going to react? And so I like to do it live just so you have an idea of exactly what you're looking at. So I'm showing my phone. Taylor, can you see my phone? It's always a risk when you switch over to mobile technology from your laptop. Can you see that okay?
Yes, I see it.
All right, perfect. So, a quick tip, I like to have all my real estate apps in one folder. The reason is, especially if you're using like electronic lock boxes, things like that, let's face it, there's nothing worse than having a buyer behind you and you're fumbling through pages and pages trying to find your lockbox app or trying to find your showing time app or, thing. I use one for my sign where you can literally stand where you want your sign post and it uses the geolocation. So trying to find those things when you have pages and pages of apps, and especially when you have kids. Taylor and I both have young kids, so we got like 35 apps for them, right? And so, you're scrolling through and trying to find it. The idea is to just make a real estate folder and keep everything in one easy location. To make a folder, you can literally drag an app on an app and it will start it. I've named mine real estate just so it's easy to find, where I keep like my master lock app and my transaction desk app or zip form mobile. And that way everything's all in one convenient place. When you download CubiCasa, this is what the app is going to look like. It looks like three triangles, if you will. And remember how I said it's as easy as kind of 4 buttons? Well, that's exactly what you're looking at. When I open up the app, it's going to ask me, do I want to scan? Do I want to go back to a previous order that I did? Because maybe I want to send it to someone. Do I want a quick overview on how to scan? Again, that's there for you. Or if something's changed, maybe you want to change your settings or change, if you want to put a credit card and things like that, you can do all of that there. All right, so let's go ahead. I'm going to start scanning a space, and I've got a very small office, so please don't mind the mess. I just got back from vacation and unfortunately came down with a little head cold, so it's not as clean as it normally is, but it's going to ask you, what type of property are you starting to scan? Is it a single unit? Is it a townhouse or is it an apartment style? And the reason it needs to know that is it's going to find the address for you. And obviously, if there's several units in that building, that's certainly going to make a difference, right? Because it's going to need to find several different addresses. I'm going to unplug here so that you can kind of see this. So now we're going to go to that. I want to scan a single unit or a single family dwelling. And right away, it found my location. So if that's not the location, of course, you can go in and hit that pencil icon that you see right here. Here, I'm pointing on my phone. You can't really see my phone, so I'll use the mouse pointer here. You can click on that pencil, and you can change that if that's not, or if there's a suite number, maybe there's a suite A and suite B, you can add that in. But really, all I want to do here, because this is my actual property, I want to go ahead and hit confirm. This is what I call those easy or so easy a chimp could do it instructions. It basically says keep the focus on the floor, avoid any fast movements. You do not need to scan the ceilings. I'm going to flip my light on here so that there's a little more light in my office. And then obviously it says do not, you obviously just have everything done ahead, because the biggest thing is you don't want to keep rescanning the same area over and over again. You want to just scan it once. So then you're going to hit I understand. And it's literally that simple. So from here, once I start the recording button, I had to unhook everything there, I'm going to be able to walk through my office. And it's going to now start what I call the webbing process. So let's go ahead. I'm going to actually hit my start button so you can actually see it live. Don't mind my cord on before I just unhooked my phone here. So I'm going to hit my record button. Now, what you're going to see is if I'm too close to something, it will tell me I'm very close to my office chair, so I'm going to move that. But do you see that webbing design that is happening as I'm moving through my office? Taylor, remind me next time to clean my office a little better before I try to do this live, huh? So as I'm going through my office, you can see it's measuring. I'm very close, kind of standing at my desk here. So it's telling me you're a little too close. I'm going to back up a little bit. You see what's happening now? If you don't see the web design, so let me explain a little bit more like about that. The web design is giving you the most accurate measurements of your in this case, my office space, okay? If you don't see the web design that I'm seeing when you utilize it on your phone, it means that you possibly don't have the 3 camera lenses on your phone. What I mean is anything from a 12 Pro up will actually have those 3 lenses on the back. And by the way, you can use this on an iPhone, an Android phone. It doesn't matter. As long, I mean, please don't say that you have a flip phone. It will not work on that. It does have to be a smartphone. But the idea is, hopefully you're getting kind of a general idea, is that all I'm doing is I'm literally walking around my office and it's gathering those measurements. So hopefully that kind of gave you a quick idea. I know it's not perfect, but hopefully you can kind of tell what we're doing here. Might help if I add this on as well. So I'm literally just walking through my office with my phone, walking. I tell people just kind of point to the perimeter. If you're too close, like you can see, I'm a little too close to my chair there. I'm just walking through, just again, trying to give you if you're too much toward the floor, you see how it says just raise your device a little? And it will give you those really helpful instructions just walking through. Go right through to the next room. So hopefully that gives you a kind of a rough idea of how you would create an entire scan. So, and yes, don't judge. I still have a Christmas tree. I did 4 Christmas trees and it's my last one to go down. I just got back from vacation. So hopefully you got a couple good ideas of how CubiCasa works. And I only like to show you it live because I had a lot of questions and I got very nervous. I didn't want to go try it on my own and think, is this going to be really hard? I kind of wanted to just give you a general idea of what to expect, what it's going to look like, and really how easy it is. So hopefully that gives you a kind of a level of comfort. So remember, the important things that you need to know is that you want to sign up before you ever think about going to your client's home. You want to actually sign up through resources. So let me stop sharing here. I'm going to show you exactly where to go again, because if you don't sign up through resources, what unfortunately is going to happen is it's not going to know you get all the free scans. It's not going to know you get all that free stuff. So you want to make sure you've done that first in order to sign up. Turn that off so we can see the screen there. Sorry, it takes a second to bounce back and forth. When you're signing up, you want to go into Paragon. You want to go to resources, and then you want to go to CubiCasa. That's where you're going to sign up. It's going to ask you those couple of questions. The first question, I get the sun out of my eyes here. The first question it's going to ask you is, are you an agent? You want to say yes. What is your MLS? You want to make sure you have my REALTORS. It will ask you for your cell phone. Will ask you for your email address. Once you put that in, it's going to send an email over to your phone. At that point, you're going to download the app and you're going to be ready to scan. Taylor, did we see the questions button flashing a couple times? Do we have any other questions we can go over?
There was a question that said there also on the app they did not see a appraiser standard. It only offered the JPEG and the PNG. So perhaps that the other format, forget what the acronym or the shortened name of it is.
It's the GLA And that should come when you complete your scan and you go to submit. It should ask you if you want to include, that's when it will do the upsell, right? Do you want a GLA report? Do you want the fixed furniture? Do you want the quicker turnaround? So where those options are, one of those options is the GLA report.
And then another one was going
Good
back
question.
and editing the colors and logo and change that, or room names. Is that something
Yes.
that can be done after the fact, I think is
Yes,
maybe what Jennifer's asking?
yes, that actually has to be done after the fact. I mean, you don't have to, you could leave it what it is, but yes,
Yeah.
once you get the scan back, and I'm going to show you my scan, so I'll kind of show you that. Let me just grab that. Once you get that back, then you can make those changes. So I am going to show you this one. I'm going to grab one just so you can kind of see what it looks like. Because again, I like to see the finished product. Is it going to look like what I expect? And is it going to be easy? And how easy is it to change? And so let me go here. Okay. So hopefully you can see that now. So here was my email. So it came to me in the form of an email. Actually, let me start there. In my email, it says your order for Nature's Way is complete. You click on view my order. And that took me to where we were. It confirms the location. It'll tell you your total scanned area. So you'll know if you went over that 5,000 square feet. My house is 2,800 square feet, but I did the basement and I did the outside patio and the outside front porch. Got a walkout porch, kind of a wraparound. And so it did that as well. And here's where that GLA floor plan, you'll see it come back. If you checked it off, this is where you'll see that additional GLA report. I did not get that on this. I just got the PNGs, and you're right, it does have PNG and the JPEG. Comes with a mini home report, and I'm going to go through these. And then it has the PDF with dimensions and without dimensions. So as you can see, as I click on each one of these file formats, so let's go into the one with dimensions first. So if I go into this PNG, just download it so we can see it. If I go into this PNG report, it's going to break down each floor. And then as I mentioned, it'll do that combined. So here is my basement. So I've got a furnace room. I've got a finished playroom. So it's breaking it down. And then it's got the area down below. I click on the second floor or the main floor. Here's where I did my patio. I have a little breakfast kind of nook area here with sliding glass door and 2 windows. Have a small walk-in pantry. If you see how it even did the coat closet, so it's important to have those doors open so they can measure your coat closet, your dining room, foyer. Here's my front porch. As I mentioned, it kind of wraps around the front of our house. It even knows which way the stairs. So these stairs are going up. So that's that human element again, coming into play. So it's doing each level independently. Close out of that one. But then your final, and then obviously here's our third floor, just kind of to know what to expect. Here's our primary. Here's our bedroom. When you open these up, by the way, you have the ability to go and the only thing is I do want to, and it's a little hard to show here because I'm using Firefox. The only browser that you don't want to do your editing, you can do it in Safari, you can do it in Chrome. The only browser currently right now that is not supported is Firefox, lucky me. And you can open it up. You can go in and add the colors. I think I've done one. I'll see if I can find it really quickly. And again, if you don't want the room measurements on here, they send them with or without. So if you're a builder and you want to just show the layout, you don't want to show the elevations, maybe elevation C gives you a larger primary bedroom, then you can just do the layouts too. It's completely your choice. But the reason it's giving you those multiple file formats is, again, you want a picture format, which is the PNG or the JPEG, so that you can add them in as a photo type file. But it also gives you that PDF format in case you want to add them into the associated docs. All right, and then lastly, that combined, as I mentioned, if you wanted to show the entire layout or everything as one, so maybe you want to just email it quickly to someone, you can actually add in all 3 floors in one. All right, so hopefully that
Colleen, that appraiser format, is that something that can be go in and edit in the app, or is that only browser to get that?
that is, I think you have to, in order to do the editing, you have to open it in a browser. You
Okay.
can't do it from the app. At least
Okay.
I have not found out how to do it. If there's a way, I'm not aware of it. That one has to be done through the browser because you're actually making changes to it. Good question.
All right.
All right. I know it's kind of but one, and just to go back to that other question, one of those options, and I didn't purchase it because obviously I'm not an appraiser, but one of the upsells when you go to complete your scan, it says, do you want to submit your scan? One of the options that you can select. And by the way, on your first scan, you get all of those options for free. So your very first scan, I wanted to mention that, is don't be afraid to check the affixed furniture, the GLA. There was another, the quicker turnaround. You get all of your options on the first one, on your first scan for free. After that, that's when you would have to start paying. They want you to try it. They want you to like it and see how the upsells work because they're hoping in the future that that's what you'll use. So for your first scan, don't be afraid to add in those extras. The only one I don't think it covers, and I think they added it on after we set up our initial scans, but the only one I don't think it covers is like the tours, like the AI tours and the 3D tours. I don't think that is covered on your free scan. I think that's the only one that's not.
Was it 13 and higher that had the webbing is with the app?
Great question, and maybe I can even show that better. It is the 12 Pro and higher.
Okay, thank you.
And I should probably be clear on what that means. You'll know if you have a Pro camera because hopefully you can see this. It'll have the 3 lenses on the back. That's when you'll notice the webbing. If you don't have a Pro camera, it will still work for you and it will still be very accurate. It just, that gives the extra level of accuracy that can get right down to, that it's way more detailed. And it gets right down to the inch. So that's kind of why more and more people are utilizing that in the upcoming technology that we're watching in these apps. So hopefully that helps. So yes, 12
to have that
above.
feature. Oh, I'm sorry, Colleen. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
It was Patty that asked that question about what version of the iPhone would be best. So ideally anything Pro Max or newer than a 12 or newer.
Yes. And if you want to talk about cameras, Taylor's the person to do that. She's the one with the degree in photography and teaches all of our great photography classes. So if you have questions, she's your girl. All right. Any other questions? I ran a few minutes over. I apologize. I just wanted to make sure that everybody had all of the details. If you do have any other questions, there'll be a survey coming out a little bit later. Feel free if I missed your question or we missed your question to put it in the survey. And we'd love to hear what you thought of the class. It's kind of, to be honest, it's kind of a hard class to teach because you kind of want to see it. And the only way to really see it is to go do one. And since they're free, go do your house, right? The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be with the technology. You can't screw it up, I promise. And even if you make a mistake, remember the backup is a human is actually taking a look at that scan before you receive it to make sure that even if you dropped your phone, even if you went over a molding twice, they covered that. So it's pretty user friendly. You can't really screw it up.
Amanda made a nice comment too, just saying that it's nice that CubiCasa is now a source of square footage. So thank you for adding that.
Yes. And you know what? Maybe I can quickly, let's see if I can quickly show that. So I can, so one of the questions was, well, how, if you're using that, as your, let me see if I can find out, if I can quickly show it. If you're using CubiCasa, how do you let people know that you didn't get the information from Realist or the tax records? And one of the, trying to remember where it is really quick. One of the, let's see if I should have had it. I should have had it pulled up ahead of time. But one of the questions is, where did you get your square footage from? I just forget off the top of my head which section it's in. And it says public records. It'll say, I cannot remember which one it's under. I was hoping I could find it really quick. But one of the questions is, where did you get the square footage from? And it now includes in the dropdown whether you got it from public records, if you got it from Realist, or if you received it from CubiCasa, which we thought was a nice way to say, hey, really easily, this is where it came from. So, and it's up next to square footage, but I know we're a little over time, or I'd take the time and really go through and look at it. So good. Thanks for bringing that up. I mean, I appreciate it. I should have probably had it pulled up ahead. I'll do that for our next class. Anything else? A lot of good questions. Thank you so much, Taylor, for doing all the questions today. I appreciate it. It's kind of like I said, it's kind of a hard product to show because really the only way to do it is in an app. So hopefully I didn't make it too confusing, and hopefully it kind of makes sense as you start doing more and more scans. So
Yeah, lots of good questions, good points.
you know, for one of the questions was, PDF is not, it's not even a choice. You don't have to, it's not an offering. It automatically comes as a PDF, a JPEG, and a PNG. So that is delivered automatically. You don't have to request it.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best.
I'm also going to put a URL in the chat, everyone, just so that you can kind of watch a full walkthrough done, and then the steps in which they submitted the floor plan. So just so you guys have that as a reference too. So that'll be in the chat.
All right. Well, thank you. Hopefully you found that helpful. Hopefully it's a good start. Happy scanning. Go out and get some listings. We certainly need the inventory, and so hopefully this will make it even easier to get those listings into the MLS. Thanks again, Taylor, for manning all the questions. That made it really, really much easier.
Yeah, you're welcome. Everyone
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.